Hello everybody, I am Conquering History Games and it's an exciting day on the channel. It is a return to the one, the only, it is Equestria at War. This is the Hertzland 1.7 update. You will not be able to play this right now. Give it some time. I've actually been given early access to this update to the mod. Thank you very much to Yard and Featherus and everybody else over at the Equestria at War team for allowing me to do so. I'm always very appreciative of this. Now, this is a pretty big update, and let's keep in mind that it is early access, so if there's any little bugs... Wait, something wrong with River Swirl? Oh, no, I thought something was wrong with her face, but I just have a tiny little thing on my monitor. Oh no, is that a scratch? Crap. Anyway, sorry for cursing. So this new update involves a lot more of the heartland countries of the Griffonian Empire. So as you see, we have the Katerins here, the county of Bronze Hill, Griefish Martian, Angriver, etc., etc. I'm probably going to work my way through at least a couple of these over time, but I decided the one that I'm most excited to play is as the Katerin Principality. You could go ahead and pause and read this brief history if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and read the part that's going to pop up when we start the game. But this should be very fun. And it has a nice little CK2 reference in it, as we'll see. Now, I'm going to implement some custom game rules. Don't worry, I'm not cheating, but I also don't want to spoil what those are, so that people can be surprised by the developments. So I'm going to try something new I've been experimenting with in my own time as far as editing, and so hopefully there should just be a quick cut and we will be right back here. See ya in a minute. Okay, we should be back now. So like I said, I haven't done any sort of cheating where I made myself stronger or stuff like that. Anyway, I hope that was a smooth cut. And what we're going to do is we are going to play as the Katerin Principality, as I said. The Heartlands, of course, has to do with a lot of these areas that are initially part of the Griffonian Empire, at least as vassals, of course, because the core of the Griffonian Empire itself is rather small. But let's just hop into it and start going into the lore. There's going to be an awful lot of talking in this episode, so I might make it a longer than usual one, or I might just... Or I might do something where I'll just upload 2 videos today. I'll do one, and then a couple hours I'll upload part 2 so that we can see some actual gameplay going on. Alright, so I hope that you all enjoy that. So, the Katerin Principality, the land of madness. Right here. With the decay of the Griffonian Empire and the end of Kemerskai's short-lived republic, the Katerin Principality was re-established, and the sole remaining member of its ruling family, Princess Dielza von Katerinburg, was put in power. Despite the best care and many prayers, however, something had broken inside her after witnessing her family's death at the hands of the Republicans, and her sanity slipped to the detriment of the Principality. The Katerintrue, a cadre of nobles meant to act as advisors and regents for the child, used their proximity to Dielza to manipulate her weak mind for their own personal gain, and worse still, with a leader to whom reality and sanity were distant and incomprehensible things, the curses of Katerin's dark past have resurfaced in the form of a terrible plague. With a mad princess, scheming nobles scrambling for power and control, disease and even starvation has become all too common, and the Griffins of Katerin have to look elsewhere for heroes. Among the few who can contest the Mad Princess, one finds the knightly orders of Katerin and the former prelate of Katerin, Heinrich Duskfeather. Both work tirelessly across the land, doing what each of them can to deliver the suffering people of this sick land. Nice couplet. The Knights of Katerin themselves have organized into 2 orders. First is the Silberkrail, led by Grand Master Hector Ardenson, an order of soldiers as well as healers who tend to the sick and guard the weak wherever they can be found. Second stand the implacable Argentum Damerung, a grim-faced order of fighters, few in number but fierce as any. The order is led by Grandmaster Eric Grimclaw, the current champion of the old and noble Grimclaw lineage, the family that once ruled the Katerin lands in pre-imperial times. Meanwhile, the disgraced and deposed prelate Heinrich Duskfeathered wanders the countryside, agitating the peasantry and calling for them to take charge of their situation and rise up to be the heroes that Katerin needs. Yet he also preaches other, more controversial ideals. His religious socialist movement is a dangerous one, but its members are numerous and its influence is growing. Neither the knights nor the prelate will be able to take control, however, as long as the princess is in her current state, so the griffins pray that a solution is found, even as few see when it would come. Alright, here's some region stuff, just talking about infrastructure. We got mechanics here, changelog. Changelog actually has not been updated because it's not showing the 1.7 stuff on here. Go check out my introduction to Equestria at War if you don't understand how Equestria at War is different from base Hearts of Iron 4, so that way I don't have to go over it in every single video. Alright, and whoa, holy crap. This is I'm moving fast when I scroll. Oh man, Cyprus, you've done it again, you beautiful guy. I can already tell there's going to be no lag whatsoever in this game. Equestria at War always runs the smoothest out of every single Hearts of Iron 4 mod I've ever played, and indeed smoother than vanilla Hearts of Iron 4. Just amazing, amazing coding at work. So we have national focus. Well, that's an easy choice, I suppose. This is relatively small. I'm pretty sure that once we get down here, it's going to open up a new tree, but there's no guarantee of that. Alright, Reign of the Mad Princess. Ever since the revolution ended, Dielza von Katerinburg, only surviving child of the previous regent, has reigned over the lands of Katerin. Ascending the throne at age of 7 after her family's death, she was for many years guided by advisors and powerful nobles. These have not gone away, and they remember the power they had back then. Alright. Whoa, excuse me. Alright, let's go over some of our country stuff. National spirit, broad illiteracy, reducing construction speed and research speed. Pretty standard for Griffonia. The Mad Princess's reign, the title held by her within her principality and beyond, is the Insane. Even the most diehard monarchists are forced to concede that the princess in Katerinburg embodies the trappings of a hereditary rule. What? Her insanity has driven many civil servants and advisors away from her court and makes finding people to work with her government a difficult task. Her antics have ruined whatever remains of Katerin's reputation amongst the Hertzlanders. That being, I believe specifically the Hertzlanders refers to the southern area, but it might also to everything around the Griffonian Empire. She has attained the dubious achievement of making Katerin known worldwide as a buffoon state at best. So this hurts trade deal opinion factor, that must be that international thing. Improved relations is down too, but also war support, stability, and political power gain. The Desolation. Katerin has long been known as a deadweight to the Empire. Even before the reign of Dielza, Katerin was among the poorest regions in the Empire, covered by the dark Schwelwald forest and vast marshland. Things have only gotten worse during Dielza's mad rule. The once booming trade city of Katerinburg was forcibly relocated from the Griff King deeper into the marshes. Why? The nobles abused Dielza's state of mind to gain more privileges at the expense of the peasants, and mismanagement became rampant. Sanitation, healthcare, and education are all crumbling, like all of Katerin is. So that hurts our research gain, efficiency, consumer good factories is increased, construction speed is further lowered on top of what we're dealing with their illiteracy, and factory output is down. Feint of faith. Daily communism support is growing. It is a common idea that crisis brings even the most skeptic griffs to religion. Katerin proved it true, but eventually became a demonstration of its chorality. As the crisis in the Principality grows worse, more and more griffins are turning away from worship and prayer, their faith utterly broken by the reality that surrounds them. How can there be a paradise if all you know is Tartarus on Earth? Okay, lots of interesting stuff. We are a nominal vassal of the Griffin Empire. I'm sure that will break off naturally and we don't have to worry about that. I haven't really tested... I'm so glad we have at least 3 research slots. I haven't really tested the... Griffin models! Oh, shit! Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Whoa, it's happening! No more ponies in Griffonia. They're actual griffins! Oh my gosh, Equestria at War team, you've done it again. When you think they've peaked, they keep taking it to another level. This is why you guys are the gold standard in coding. Wow. Oh wow. Well, Okay, my surprise right there. I was just about to go into the... I haven't tested Katerinburg at all. The only thing I did is I just started up a game, and then I ran it forward a couple months to make sure it wasn't going to crash instantly. But, oh, wow. That's great. That is awesome. Very, very cool stuff. All right, but let's keep working on our industry stuff. Is this background image new also? Oh. Great stuff, great stuff. You know, you just love to see... I just love to see anybody do good work at anything. Amazing. Okay, we're definitely going to want some engineers. So, anyway, let's start organizing our forces here. What do we got here? We have a medical expert. Experienced soldier losses minus 5%. Cool. More defense, and he's charismatic. Nice. Alright, we have the promising leader. That's always a really good one. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. It's a little bit loud. At least in my ears. So we've got Swamp Fox Organizer, Career Officer, Old Forest, Infantry Leader, Old Guard. We'll go with Grimclaw. The experience gain is really great. Okay, I think for now we're just going to try to get some more infrastructure in our capital, and we'll deal with more stuff later. Whoops. Let's change this color. Do not like it. Now, I don't know what the relationship to the Griffin Empire is going to be. The way it was before is people would break off on their own, and you'd have a southern faction and a northern faction. I don't know if that's how it still works for sure. Okay, one more thing before we actually unpause. Let's read her bio. Oh, she's deranged, so that's further lowering our daily political power gain, but it increases our attack. Interesting. Planning speed is down, and the AI has a tendency to focus on offense. As one of the last surviving members of the von Katerinburg family, Princess Dielza carries a legacy 300 years old. Great art for her, by the way. Good fall colors, too. Her family was among the first who pledged allegiance to the Grover dynasty. Those are the ones who run the empire. And for their loyalty, they rewarded the Principality of Katerin. During Dielza's childhood, however, tragedy befell the family during the revolution that struck the empire. A mob stormed the von Katerinburg castle, seeking to overthrow the princely family. When the smoke cleared, the 6-year-old Dielza was the only one still alive, even as she was imprisoned by the revolutionaries. After the revolution ended, and Dielza was freed, something had broken inside the girl. As the only remaining von Katerinburg, she was raised to the throne as Princess of Katerin, even as the trauma she had experienced began to manifest itself. Ever since, Dielza had been quietly referred to as the Mad Princess, as her mannerisms have become more and more erratic and violent. Nowadays, her subjects live in constant fear of triggering a violent outburst from her. And though she goes from relatively lucid to enraged madness regularly, it is impossible to predict when and what does it. One of the few things that seem to have a stabilizing influence on her is Glitterhoof. There's that CK2. A pony's skull that was given to her as a macabre gift from her distant cousin Wingfried von Katerinburg. Whatever the intent behind the gift was, Dielza always carries it with her, treating him like a stuffed animal and referring to the skull as her fiancé. This, combined with her unpredictability and violent mannerisms, has made her feared and hated among a people that once respected the von Katerinburg lineage, and it is doubtful if Dielza is able to comprehend this. So, clearly there's some sort of CK2. As we all know, it is canon that the Equestria War universe, the portal to the human world, doesn't go to our world, it goes to the Kaiserreich world. This is also, I like to believe, I don't know, I haven't confirmed it, it's also confirming, though, that there is a Crusader Kings 2 version of the universe where you'll have some sort of insane emperor who does the Glitterhoof stuff. Alright. New Year's Ball. At the end of the year, in the final days of December, Princess Dielza von Katerinburg called for a grand ball to be held in Katerinburg. However, she was not impressed with the amenities of the hall that had already existed. In response, she had numerous griffins pulled from across the Principality to tear down the oldest of them and construct a new grand hall. However, with little time to plan and complete the project, the concept had to be based on designs made years ago. While the laborers worked for every single day with no rest until it was completed, lest the Principality face the wrath of Princess von Dielza, by the end of it, numerous workers had vanished, been executed, or simply worked to death. But the princess had her ball. don't lose your head on the dance floor. So pony power and political power is down, and we're already in the negatives. Good stuff. Alright, we'll speed it up there. So, I guess you just right away cripple us. Alright, what else is going on? Civilian, export focus, volunteer only. Glitterhoof is one of our political advisors. Glitterhoof is DL... Okay. She has developed an interesting relationship with this inanimate object. Glitterhoof is Dielza's lover and rival, husband and enemy, depending on the day and Dielza's mood. Sometimes she wants to marry it, sometimes shatter it. This also means Dielza is completely uninterested in any suitors and nobles. Okay, this sentence could have been structured better. Completely uninterested in any suitors, and nobles fear what would happen if their new prince could be a lifeless pony skull. Cannot remove, lowers stability, and daily political power gain. Speaking of, dinner with Glitterhoof. Princess Dielza has been working hard the last few days. Managing the Principality was no easy task after all. She had decided to take a day off from her duties to enjoy with her paramour, Glitterhoof. The dining hall in the palace had been reserved for this occasion, and she had made sure to select only the best delicacies for Glitterhoof. And with the preparations for the dinner complete, the time had come for her date with Glitterhoof to begin. The hall itself was decorated in the most lavish manner possible, with colored banners adorning the walls and portraits of Dielza's honored ancestors watching over the dining table. The appetizers of tonight's meal already adorned the table, as the palace's cooks had, on Dielza's orders, spared no expense in preparing for tonight's feast. The princess entered the dining hall, clothed in one of her more ostentatious dresses, and took her seat at the end of the table. As she took her seat, she spotted Glitterhoof on the opposite end of the table. The skull was freshly polished for the occasion, and even had a rather expensive-looking hat on. The princess started eating her meal, and quickly decided to strike up a conversation with her date. "So, how are you enjoying the feast, Glitterhoof? I trust that everything is to your satisfaction?" The skull wasn't very talkative. The lack of a reply from Glitterhoof did little to deter the princess, who cheerfully continued to speak. "Oh my, I can see that you haven't even touched your portion of the meal. Don't worry, my dear, I'll make sure that the cooks are suitably punished for serving food that is so antithetical to your tastes." The rest of the date went in much the same way, with the princess having a seemingly infinite capacity to talk to the skull. The palace guard could do little but watch and quietly inform the cooks that they best make themselves disappear before the meal is over. Is this really the best use of her time? Sometimes that's what I feel like when I'm recording here, because obviously there's no way for you to talk back to me until I've uploaded the video. So I just am speaking into the air, and there's just a microphone in front of me by chance. Makes me think things. Insane things. Moving on, what's going on in the rest of the world? Looks like Brodfeld have lost Kevison, but I don't know, they kind of stabilized the front line. Maybe they could win. A duet with Glitterhoof. The invitations sent out for the ball had been at very short notice, but all the same, the vast majority of the nobility had turned up. There were few safe reasons to ignore the princess, after all. Yet at first it seemed that they were blessed with an evening of relative normality. The food was as lavish as it ever had been, the entertainment fine indeed, and even Dielza seeming to be in one of her good moods, even if she had that skull close by at all times. Maybe that's why. Duh. Anyway, as the evening's entertainment was mentioned, some of them noticed that Dielza had departed, and no one thought too much of it at first. As it turned out, though, the entertainment was provided by the princess. Stepping onto the stage, she began to sing, accompanied by the string quartet next to the stage. She had a fine enough voice, few would question that, but the piece she sang was a duet, and they saw no one else on the stage with her, unless one counted the skull, of course. But surely she could not. Oh, Boreas. As it turned out, she could. As Dielza's part ended, she turned to look to her skull, holding it aloft to the crowd. The silence settled over the entire hall, except for the accompanying music that played through the second verse, with Dielza picking up at the third. If she was aware of the fact that she was performing in front of a mortified crowd of nobles that only wanted to sink through the floor and disappear, she didn't show it, only carrying on through all 18 of the verses. Wow, so I'm just imagining. See, I'm a big fan of the musician Max Bemis. Look him up. And he has a band that is essentially just duets with his wife. It's Prima. So I'm just imagining him going on stage, or her going on stage, and just like hearing the music, and then she just doesn't do his part. So it's just bum 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 bum, and she just comes in. It's just illusion. Check them out; they're great. It's a very sweet band. It's like it'll give you cavities. Change in popularity of fascism -3%. Base stability -5%. Oh yeah, it's because we are fascist, technically under the Katerin Principality. Rumors. During the last weeks, rumors have surfaced that a mysterious illness has been appearing in the city of Einfort. Katerin is a country that's no stranger to suffering, but the news out of Einfort has terrified even the fatalistic Katerins. That's right here in kind of south-central Principality. From what the rumors are telling, plague has struck the city, and the official response, denouncing the rumors as simple attempts to spread discord and fear among the people, has not helped. I'm sure it is nothing to worry about. We now have the plague, -20% monthly population, recruitable population factor down, consumer factories up, stability down. We're down to 30% on the stability. I've seen worse, but this sure ain't great. The alchemist returns to the princess. Princess Dielza held court every single day to hear the plead of her subjects, on paper, that is. In reality, the princess's court, in the rare few days she decided to show up to it, is a strange and unnerving proceeding. Most of the nobles avoid making anything more than a token appearance at them, as any slight interaction with the princess has the potential for a lethal result. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to her actions, and asking her to judge on anything was to invite disaster. To take a recent example, a griffin who had lost all his belongings to bandits was sentenced to prison for not having protected his own property. Only the truly desperate approached the mad princess when she presided over court, which made it all the stranger when a griffin fitting none of these descriptors approached her openly. The potion salesman hailed from Yale and had operated within Katerin for a time many decades ago as the court alchemist for the princess's father. The aged griffin carried with him a suitcase, and contained within were 3 vials which he hoped would, at the very least, soothe the princess for a while. The alchemist proceeded to present the vials to the princess, and he made it clear to her that only one could be chosen, as mixing potions rarely had good results. Firstly, there was the vial that came from the north. It had the most brilliant aquamarine color the court had ever seen, and even still as the liquid was within the vial, strange patterns seemed to appear within the fluid if one looked at it long enough. The next vial came from the south, concocted within the alchemist's laboratory within Engriver. The dark green liquid seemed to move on its own, swirling around within the vial even when no outside force was acting upon it. The vial itself was hot to the touch, and it was clear that the liquid within was far from dormant, although the alchemist assured that it was safe to drink. Lastly, there was the vial that hailed from the west. Unlike the others, the liquid within this vial seemed completely inert. It was completely clear, colorless, and lacked any order to speak of as well. No matter how long the vial was studied by the nobles, it seemed no different than normal drinking water. Perhaps that is what made it the most frightening of all the liquids to some. After all the liquids had been presented, the time had come for the princess to choose which one she would drink. Yeah, that mixed potion thing reminds me of quick story here. So I'm not a big fan of taking medicine for every little thing. That's not to say that I'm an anti-vaxxer. I do get my vaccines and things like that. I'm talking more people who just pop ibuprofen for every little bruise and things like that. But a couple of years ago, I was really sick. I was just stuck in bed pretty much, and my girlfriend at the time, she ends up getting a bunch of like just over-the-counter stuff, and she says, "Hey, just take these. These will deal with each of your individual symptoms." And I didn't want to at first, and then eventually I said, "Fine, I'll read it, and then or I'll take some." But I grabbed the bottles, and I'm reading them first to find out, okay, because how much of this stuff am I supposed to take? And then I discover that if you mix 2 of the things together, there's a severe risk of what was it? It's like, I think like you could get bleeds in your liver or something. And I was just, have you read this? Is like, have you taken these together? And she goes, I don't know, I think so. At the same time, it's like, well, you have a lot of symptoms. You got to take a lot of stuff. And I went, yeah, I'd rather not have my liver bleed. Thank you. So I ended up not taking that. Or I think I ended up just taking some stuff from my throat because my throat was just hurting from all the coughing I was doing. Anyway, we're going to take the vial from the south. It says we might get a national spirit. Did we? Yes. Wait, is this new? Oh, that's the plague. The southern medicine, stability plus 5%, rosemary plus 5%. It tasted like rosemary, and now the princess's mind is clearer than usual. All right. We're going to have that for a couple of months. So the reign of the Mad Princess is over. Now we have to choose what to do here. I don't think these are mutually exclusive, and I'm pretty sure I'll have to take all of them. Yeah, alright, I'll have to take all of these at some point. I probably should have spent a little bit of time looking at stuff. So this will negate the communists over here. Tax revenues. This, okay. Alright, looks like we have a lot of stuff that negates the communists. So I wonder if it's, you just, well then how could you ever go communist? It's probably something that if you don't take care of it, the flip happens. I don't know. Alright, we got a research thing here. That's what I'm pretty interested in. Lots of negatives. Lots of negatives. Oh yeah, I forgot to go over... So I have a small science base right now, which increases political power gain, but my research speed is pretty crippled. And we're also an industrializing society. So, of course, I'd want to get up to modern and developed. So, I'm probably going to go to the right first. This, yeah, this trades education is really good. I'll have to do both of these to do armed tax collectors anyway. Well, let's do this first, because I want to see what this event is, the solution to the bandit issue. None can... Oh, hold on. Formation of the Katerin Truin. So this is the fascist party I am. There have always been those who knew to make themselves useful to the powers that be, and Katerin was no exception. When by the then 7-year-old Yelza von Katerinburg was crowned, a regency council had been created to make sure that the affairs of state flowed smoothly, even though their legal ruler was a child. They had been advisors only, quickly reiterating their loyalty to the rightful princess, even as they slipped deeper and deeper into madness. They were loyal griffins, after all. They were true. Yet true to what? Meeting under the cover of darkness, and the assembly of the highest nobles of the land debated this question silently that night. Let's go to a different song. They were still advisors and respected members of the principal council, but that wasn't enough anymore. Yelza was only becoming more and more unpredictable and confused, and for the good of them all, it was time for them to take more direct control of the affairs of Katerin. They were loyal griffins, but they were true to Katerin above all other things. For Katerin. That's the drinking game for this campaign, every time Katerin is said. A trip to the Katerin Library. The princess had been sitting in the library for most of the day, devouring books as she was wont to do in her more peaceful moments. It had turned into a ritual for the castle, a few hours of guaranteed peace as their capricious ruler was often absorbed in the books of distant lands or strange mysteries that could absorb her so. Today, this peace was shattered, though, as Yelza came striding out of the library and summoning the guards, ordering them to bring everyone to the library to enjoy it as well. The pattern was all too familiar. The princess had gotten an idea and wanted it executed. Unless you wanted to be the one executed, you obeyed. And soon hundreds, indeed thousands, of griffins all around Katerinburg were marched from their homes into the great library. They were told to read the books by armed guards. Yelza, standing on the second floor, oversaw the entire crazed affair, randomly pointing out griffins who seemed insufficiently overjoyed by her gesture of kindness and ordering them whipped. In the end, the few literate commoners were... That's right, there's illiteracy in the nation still. So they're probably just staring at the squibbles. Alright, the few literate commoners around hurried to grab the nearest book, forming impromptu reading circles with others clustering around them to listen, hoping that could satisfy their insane ruler. Isn't reading fun, everyone? Everyone should do this! Replace broad illiteracy with modest illiteracy. Hey, she's helping society! That's great. Well then, does this change what's going on down here? Oh, this will change it to modest illiteracy. Okay. Interesting. So what's this legalized banditry thing? This is going to give me pony power. But, okay, we'll read the situation in a second. Hold on. None can call... Here, you all don't get to read... Oh, never mind. None can call Diels von Katerinburg an idle princess, and yet many a griffin has at times wished that maybe she was. If she had been, maybe schemes such as her last one would not rise up. There is, of course, something to be said for unorthodox solutions, but maybe this one goes a bit too far. So I don't know what that's going to do. Alright, the situation. I'll probably read this and then make the choice in the next episode. The decaying settlement of Einfort lies south of the capital. The city itself seems to be representative of Katerin as a whole. Its glory days are long behind it, with years of neglectful rule and exploitation having taken a heavy toll from the once burgeoning settlement. The once proud walls of the keep have been in a state of perpetual disrepair for the last 20 years. That's this place, by the way. This is where the plague is. Doing little to discourage any potential attacker. The city itself has grown far beyond the boundaries of the wall, with villagers fleeing from bandits and the plague taking refuge in an ever-expanding network of tents and shanties. The city is in ruins. All that remains is its decaying cadaver, and the vultures have come to feast. With the constant stream of refugees to the city, it was inevitable. Plague has come to Einfort. The city, and more importantly its inhabitants, are to be saved. If the city, and more importantly its inhabitants, are to be saved, then decisive action must be taken. When news of the plague arrived at the capital, the knightly orders of Katerin stood ready to secure the city at a moment's notice. The orders have served the Principality with an upright zeal for centuries, dedicated to upholding a tradition of chivalry that stretches back hundreds of years. Two major orders have established themselves within the Principality, and both have volunteered for the task. Firstly, there is the Venerable Order of the Silberkrael, led by the Honorable Grandmaster Hector Ardenson. The Silberkrael acts as the sword and the shield of the common griffin, striving to make the life of the peasants as comfortable as possible given the circumstances. The Silberkrael desires to calmly and carefully take control of the city, minimizing the dangers to the common folk and granting those too sick to survive a merciful and peaceful end. The other knightly order of Katerin, the Argentum Dämmerung, has also volunteered for the task, led by the fervent Grandmaster Eric Grimclaw. The foremost objective of the Argentum Dämmerung, I need to go over my German again one of these days, is to pull the plague out by its roots and reclaiming the dead lands of Katerin for the Empire. What they lack in experience, they make up for in zeal, and they seek to drag the plague from the city as quickly as possible, minimizing the risk of infection for the populace. Of course, the orders could always be dismissed in Einfort's garrison given the task of restoring order, but the garrison is already small and poorly maintained before the plague hit, and there was no telling what methods they might resort to. All right, so we'll solve that in the next episode. Holy crap! Sorry for cursing again. I've really got to work on my cursing. It happens more when I'm tired and my faculties are not all there. So in the next episode, we're going to get out of January. We're going to deal with this situation. We're going to keep going down the tree. I'm sure that this is, I'm actually kind of okay with how event-heavy it is right now. At the moment, it's interesting. It's interesting stuff, and she's got an eye on you. Maybe two. Making sure that you subscribe, or else her and Glitterhoof are going to have something to say about it. And be sure to click that bell while you're at it. I'm Conquering History Games. You all have yourselves a wonderful day. And I hope you're excited for the next episode like I am. Goodbye.